Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today I am here to ask, why no 4K? Why no Blu-ray? Is the Blu-ray curse a real thing? And why are so many of our favorite films stuck on VHS and DVD or completely out of print? Well, let's dive into it. Pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so why no 4K? Why no Blu-ray? And is the dreaded Blu-ray curse a real thing? Well, that got me thinking today. I was talking to my guys, Frank at Frank's Media Reviews, Daniel over at Cobwebs, Brian at The Last Movie Standing, and as we're talking back and forth on a group chat, lo and behold, Criterion announces coming in February, Punch Drunk Love on 4K, a new 4K scan transfer overseen by Paul Thomas Anderson. And I literally have had this movie for about 48 hours. Now, fortunately, I have not opened it yet, so I can still return it and wait on the 4K. But that got me thinking, why are so many of our favorite films not available on 4K for sure, but why some are not even available on Blu-ray? Like movies that aren't like just ones that are, cult favorites or whatever, but big time movies, especially from like the 80s and 90s and stuff. Why are these films not out? And some of them, it just makes no sense. We're going to talk about a few of them. Up first are a few films that you can't even really get on Blu-ray. They maybe have had a Blu-ray at some point and it's out of print. But the first one up is My Science Project. I've talked about this movie a couple times. This stars Dennis Hopper, for instance, and it's like you would think with him and John Stockwell, who was pretty popular in the 80s and stuff with movies. This like a cult sci-fi classic. I think that Screen Factory Shout did a Blu-ray on this at some point, but now you can't even get that. It's out of print. If you want to go to eBay, it's going to cost you seriously to get this movie. And it's like, just bring it. This would look great in 4K. It's another one of those Blue Lightning 80s movies that, like Trick or Treat, Weird Science, all that kind of stuff. This movie falls right in there. It is really underrated cult hit. Dennis Hopper, man. Like, he is awesome in this. So, My Science Project. The only thing I can think is you have the problem here of this Touchstone Pictures. So that always poses a problem. And this one's a little more of a cult one. So is, I guess you could say the next one is too. And this one's another one with an out of print Blu-ray, Space Camp. I've talked about this one before because this has Kelly Preston in it, a young Joaquin Phoenix in it. It has Kate Capshaw in it. Leah Thompson's in this. Tom Skerritt is in this movie. This movie is absolutely loaded down. Now, for me, growing up, I remember this being a really big movie in the 80s, and it had a full cast in it, and you're like, even Larry B. Scott from Revenge of the Nerds, Lamar Latrell, he's in it. Why? Like, this is one of those, first of all, this would look great on 4K, same as My Science Project. But to not even have an in-print Blu-ray of these anymore, and the last time this was put out, this DVD, it says Vestron. So I'm not really sure what's going on. I know like the big deal, because I'm in Georgia, this was filmed in like Huntsville, Alabama at the U.S. Space Camp and like the NASA Center. So it just had all these cool vibes. You're going into space. It's got sci-fi. It's got all these heavy hitter actors and actresses that went on to be huge and that were popular in the 80s. Makes no sense not to have this. I actually got this from a VHS Preservation Society, where they restore or put these over onto a disc to save them because you weren't able hardly to find them. So that's another one. I have absolutely no idea. This one is extreme. This next one is extremely confusing to me. Like one of the most confusing here. This only has, like, it might have had a domestic Blu-ray a few years ago. It's pretty much gone now. I think you can get like a Spanish Blu-ray of this, but who knows? And it hasn't gone to 4K, which makes no sense because they've released the first one. This is a sequel. They've released the first one in 4K in a couple of different versions. I'm talking about Young Guns 2. Now, Young Guns was a huge one for me, and this one, the soundtrack alone, you're talking about iconic Bon Jovi. Wanted Dead or Alive is on this soundtrack. Like, holy crap. Why is this movie not in 4K? It's a Western. Westerns look good in 4K. Not only can you not get this in 4K, you can't really get a domestic Blu-ray of it very easily that I have found, unless you're hitting the aftermarket. I didn't find it even on Amazon. You guys let me know if I'm off on this, but the Blu-rays I found were like imports. So I have no idea what's going on with this, but you have Blaze of Glory, Wanted Dead or Alive. It says that this Bon Jovi's song was Oscar nominated in this for Best Original Song, which was Blaze of Glory. Like, why? I mean, you have Christian Slater, you have Emilio Estevez, you have Lou Diamond Phillips, you have Kiefer Sutherland. It makes no sense why this movie is not in 4K at least, but my goodness, where is the Blu-ray? You have Young Guns 1 that was doing great on 4K, so give us Young Guns 2. I mean, these movies were huge for me growing up in the 80s and 90s. Like, this is a huge movie. Young Guns is one of my favorite movies, so I love this one, and of course the soundtrack was a banger. So, Young Guns 2, where is it? That one really stumps me. And here recently I've made some other lists, and I realized as I made these lists for November challenges and things like that, that there are some movies that are just missing on physical media. Like, what in the world is going on? And the first one is Son-in-Law. This doesn't even have a Blu-ray that I can find. Now, you can find one on Etsy, but that's a homebrew. It doesn't even have a Blu-ray, and I have no idea why. This was a huge movie. Carla Gugino, Tiffany Amber Thiessen's in here. Of course, Pauly Shore. You've got Dean Smith in here. A lot of fun. You had a good soundtrack on this movie, whether it was country or rock and roll. You had like everything from Travis Tritt to the Spin Doctors on this soundtrack. I have absolutely no idea. Like, this is a Thanksgiving must-watch for me. This is a great, like, comedy, good time. And from what I can tell, you can't even get a Blu-ray of this. And the DVD is hard to get. I bought this DVD off of Amazon, and even through Amazon, it was used. Like, the case is cracked. It looks like someone basically sat on it. I mean, clearly used through Amazon. So I guess there's not an in-print DVD of this either. Blows my mind. This would look great on 4K as well because of all, you have all the transition of scenery. Brendan Fraser even does a cameo in here as Encino Man. You have all this LA scenery. You have beaches and everything else that it shows, palm trees. But then you have these sweeping views of sunrises and sunsets across farms in middle America. This needs, at very least, a Blu-ray, but give us a 4K. I have no idea why it's not out on it. Another one that I found that you can't find on a Blu-ray even, much less a 4K, House Guest with Sinbad and Phil Hartman. This is another one that I bought on Amazon, and it's used. It's a used DVD. This movie is absolutely hilarious. I mean, there's a part in here because Sinbad's pretending to be someone else, and he's a house guest, but the person that he's pretending to be is supposed to be a famous dentist, and he accidentally puts liquid Novocaine on his hands, and everybody's watching him try to pull someone's tooth, and he can't. Oh my God, you will laugh till your sides hurt. You will laugh till your sides hurt, and yet nothing. No Blu-ray. The only thing I could get through even Amazon was a used DVD. That's it. That's all I could find. Makes no sense. These aren't like movies with obscure people nobody knows, cult hit. Like these are big movies with big names and just nothing out there. And the next one has no Blu-ray. Would be amazing on 4K. This movie passed being a cult hit when I was in the 80s when I was a kid. This came out around the time of Top Gun. This was a big movie. I'm talking about Iron Eagle. The best I can tell, there aren't even any domestic Blu-rays of these. I actually ran up on this recently, about a month ago for $2 at a Goodwill, because I can't even find the DVD of this. Now, this is Columbia TriStar Pictures, so this shouldn't be a Disney problem. There are 3 of these. You could do the trilogy of these in 4K or Blu-ray. This would be great in 4K. I mean, you got Lou Gossett Jr., Jason Gedrick is in here. I mean, it's like the Goonies meet Top Gun or something, or the Breakfast Club meets Top Gun. And I mean, the whole like Chappie, like people know that. And with Lou Gossett Jr. passing, I can't understand why there isn't a better physical media release of this. This needs a 4K. This would be a great, and I'm talking next level great, VSU 4K release from Vinegar Syndrome. I could totally see that with Vinegar Syndrome, with Iron Eagle. I can't understand why it's not out there. Why are some of these movies, why are they so hard to get? It makes no sense. Now, maybe if you've got something with Touchstone, you can argue Disney. But other than that, like, that makes no sense. Like, Young Guns was Morgan Creek. I have no idea, but this is one. Man, a VSU of this from Vinegar Syndrome would sell out so fast your head would pop off. So give me Iron Eagle. Then we get to some that you can get your hands on Blu-rays, but the fact that there are no 4Ks is absolutely just dumbfounding. And the obvious is the Lethal Weapon movies. Like, what? How? How is Lethal Weapon not on 4K? How is this movie not on 4K? I have no idea. None of these. Give us a set of these. This is Warner Brothers. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yes, you can get Blu-rays of these as far as I know. Or you can get this 4-pack DVD that I've had forever, because the 4K has to come. Lethal Weapon's one of my all-time favorite movies. To me, I put it up there as a Christmas movie like Die Hard. Lethal Weapon is an all-time favorite movie. It makes no sense why this isn't available on 4K. Give us the whole box set. Give us all of them. Or if you got to do them one at a time, give them the Arrow. Give them the Arrow video to do. That would be amazing. But give us Lethal Weapon on 4K. Another one we were talking about recently, you can get a cheap Blu-ray of, but Necessary Roughness. First of all, football movies always look great in 4K. Give me every football movie in 4K. They just lend themselves to looking great. But the cast of this movie, Scott Bakula, Sinbad, Kathy Ireland, Jason Bateman, got Robert Loggia, Hector Elizondo. Like, this cast goes on, and then you have like Dwayne Davis and Andrew Brzezinski, 2 guys that were in every football movie, and we're going to get to another one of those in just a second that I don't have at all because it's impossible to get. But Necessary Roughness, a fun movie. It also has tons of cameos from NFL players, boxers, all kinds of famous actors and stuff. This movie, you gotta give me every football movie in 4K. And while we're on that subject, The Program. I think The Program is Touchstone Pictures, and that's probably the problem with it. I'm having trouble even getting a DVD of it. I can't find it. That is my favorite football movie of all time. And the last time I had it was VHS, and of course y'all know the story of me having to get rid of those. I have no idea where it's at. I have no idea if there's a Blu-ray, a DVD. Like, why is this movie not in 4K? You're talking Holly Berry's in this cast, Christy Swanson's in this cast, Omar Epps in this cast. I mean, it is a deep cast. James Caan is in this, the coach in that movie. One of the most realistic and awesome portrayals of college football I've seen. That movie desperately needs a 4K, and it needs the unrated version because they had to cut the version that went into theaters after the first couple weeks out, because there's a scene where they all lay on the middle yellow line as a football team of the road, like as an adrenaline rush challenge. And apparently the story is somebody, some high school kids did that and somebody got ran over. But give me The Program. Come on. Disney, if it's Touchstone, y'all got to get off of some of these. Speaking of that, The Mask. Talk about something that would look amazing in 4K. All I have is this old DVD. I don't even have a proper case. I can't swear to you that, I can't remember if I found if there's a Blu-ray of this or not. But with the colors in The Mask and the way it looks, this is one that would just absolutely vibrate off the screen in 4K. Now, I had heard stories that this was coming. I had heard some rumors that this was coming. I was expecting there was a chance this was coming from Shout Screen Factory in December. It didn't happen. This thing will be a day one buy when it comes, but The Mask with Jim Carrey, a little bit darker than you remember. It's like a dark comedy, but definitely one that would just rule in 4K. And why it's not readily available, I have no idea. The same thing with this next one. We are getting all the Tarantino movies in 4K. If they're not already out in 4K, they're coming in 4K. The one that I don't hear about coming in 4K is the one that might look the best out of all of them in 4K, The Hateful Eight. This is up closer to the top of my favorites. Now, like a lot of people, Reservoir Dogs, Kill Bill. I'm not the biggest fan of the Kill Bill movies. For me, I'll have to rank Tarantino movies one day, but I would say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction, Hateful Eight, and Django are those are all higher than like the Kill Bill movies for me. But this movie, I mean, come on, Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Walton Goggins, Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, Bruce Dern. And you're talking about, yes, a lot of it's in one building, but they keep cutting to these sweeping landscapes with the snow, all that kind of stuff. This movie needs a 4K. Like where is the 4K on this? Because this thing was shot with 70 millimeter. It had the roadshow production that went into the theaters, all that, which is, had intermission and crap. But you can still give me this in 4K. I mean, this thing would be absolutely awesome. I have no idea why there's not even talk about this coming in 4K. None whatsoever. But we need Hateful Eight. Everybody is like, oh, give me Kill Bill. I'm over here like, give me Hateful Eight on 4K. Give me Hateful Eight. But that one is one that confuses me. And then one more that you're probably not thinking about. Eddie Murphy is one of my favorite actors of all time. I still need to pick up all the Beverly Hills Cop movies on 4K. I don't have any of those. But I have gotten Trading Places and Coming to America recently, which are maybe my favorite two movies of his. But another very underrated movie that would just rule all in 4K is Harlem Nights. And I actually have 2 DVD copies of this. This is one that I've never opened. I actually have 2 DVD copies of this. The other one has a little bit different art on it, and I didn't like it as good, so I opened it. But I like the art on this one. It's just an old cheap DVD that I got from Walmart, but I like the original like poster art. So because this movie is set, like in quote unquote, gangster times and everything else. What is it, like the 20s, like Prohibition era type thing. This movie came out when I was like 10 years old. And I mean, we were all me and my brother, into Richard Pryor and Eddie Murphy so hardcore, even though we probably shouldn't be. I think I was like 10 and younger, and he was 4 years older. And we watched stuff that, is just a different time. And we loved Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor, and seeing them together in this. The scene where they're having the shootout and all the guys have the Tommy guns and it's like and they're firing, and the one guy keeps, after they stop firing, he keeps with the little revolver, pop, pop, and then finally Arsenio Hall snaps and he's like, "Stop shooting that damn thing! It ain't doing nothing." Man, that movie is so great, but the colors, the nightlife, the vintage, like 20s gangster aesthetic, amazing, would look amazing in 4K. I do think there's a Blu-ray of this, but I am going to wait, considering they are putting out, like we've got Coming to America, we've got Trading Places, all that stuff. We've got that in 4K. I am hoping Harlem Nights comes in 4K. I absolutely love this movie. You shot me in my pinky toe. Like, I mean, this movie is so quotable when you think about like Red Fox and he's arguing with her, and about putting the orange juice back with one swallow, and he's like, "Swallow it and shut up." Dude, this movie is so awesome. I mean, I grew up with Red Fox on Sanford and Son and everything else, and I don't know, this movie would look great in 4K, and I just can't figure out why some of these are not available, why they are so hard to get. These things are these are movies that would just sell like crazy. I just, like, in a time when studios are needing money, it makes no sense to me to be setting on all these titles that you could put out with, or even license out if you can't get to them. These boutiques would snap them up. I mean, to be honest with you, I wish we could start a physical media. I would love to start a physical media community, like boutique label, and start going after some of these movies. Even if you had to start small, because the demand is out there. We keep selling out of things. There's limited editions, all these stuff, and people keep buying them because we want these movies. We want to connect to our nostalgia, our childhood. We want to not be, hooked and forced to pay for streaming. We want things that are tangible in our hands for our money. We don't want our stuff censored. We want our stuff in the best quality. We want to curate it for years and generations to come. So get it out there. Get it out there. And these were just some that were on my mind. And the Blu-ray curse, if that's part of it, if you have to live with the Blu-ray curse in order to get some of these 4Ks, I understand it. It's the reason I don't buy that many Blu-rays, to be honest with you, is because of the curse. This has gotten me a couple times now. It got me with Elvira. It's got me with Punch Drunk Love. Fortunately, I have a way out of this one because I have not opened it yet. I barely, I've only had it a couple of days. But, if I want to wait on the 4K, it's still going to be a couple months till I see the movie. So that's the downside. But, I'm not going to need 2 copies of it. So, we'll see. But the Blu-ray curse is kind of real. But if that is the price we pay to get some of these movies on 4K, I'm willing to pay it. I'm willing to pay it. So, it just requires patience, or every now and then, you get caught. But I'm willing to pay that price if that means that we get to bring these movies to the best format and preserve them. I am willing to pay that price. Give them to me on 4K. But that was just some thoughts I wanted to share today. We do all kinds of things here. You guys know it. Physical media, news, 4K reviews, lists, rankings, all that stuff from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. If that sounds like your jam, please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. If you want to help support the channel, you can join right here on Patreon at the link below, or right here on YouTube. Get your name in lights, special access to all kinds of videos, real talk, real conversations behind the scenes, stuff of my filmmaking, all kinds of things like that. And it really does help out the channel a whole lot. Helps me and my family personally, and I really do appreciate it. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.
I know.